Another episode of the Salon Scoop podcast. We have a fun one for you today. I am joined by none other than social media influencer, brand ambassador, Shawna Russell, a paltry little 126,000 followers on Instagram, nothing big. But today we really want to get the scoop on Shawna's experience about becoming an actual social media influencer. You've heard about, influencers. We're going to get the goods on sort of what it takes, right? How she got into it, her whole story. Shawna has, been in the industry for quite some time. Not only is she a brand ambassador for Schwarzkopf Professional, she's also part of the Behind the Chair team. She has been a BTC one-shot finalist several times, Modern Top 100 list, proud creator of all sorts of, apprenticeship programs. She's a salon manager, soon to be salon owner, jack of all trades. Shawna Russell, thanks so much for being with us here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I can't wait to get into this interview.
Really, we just kind of want to share some of your experiences and learnings with our listeners. For anyone out there who's, curious about either becoming a social media influencer or just wants to learn a little bit more about it, or maybe people that want to use, an influencer and having a sense of sort of what it's all about. So, and before we delve into that part of the story, Shawna, we always start our show with every guest answering a S.O.S. signature question. So right off the hopper, if you could do any celebrity's hair who you have not already done, who would it be and why?
Someone that I would love to get my hands on their hair, I think would have to be Jennifer Aniston. I've just always loved her hair. It's just like that lived in, beachy, blonde, effortless, looks good all the time. Yeah, I think she would be one that I would love. And her age group is kind of my target group. So no, I would definitely love to do her hair.
Icon for many, many years, right? Everybody was always raving about her hair, yes, to her friends. So that's a great pick. Shawna, maybe just tell us also, how did you get into the industry in the first place? Give us a quick sort of backstory, sort of where you were and what was the trigger to sort of vault you into this industry?
Okay, we have to go way, way back for this because I've been in the industry for 35 years. I've been in the industry. So I actually started off in high school. That was back then they had the full accredited hair program in high school. And I wasn't setting out to be a hairstylist, but I just I took it in grade 10 just for easy credits. I thought, oh, this will be fun. I always liked doing hair and makeup. And then my teacher just saw something in me, and I was really struggling with that. Back then we had to do perm sets and roller sets and all that. And so she got me to come in on my lunch hours and really worked with me. Her name is Miss Shirley Jolly. She was the best teacher. Yeah, how can you not be great with a name like that? So yeah, she really took me under her wing and she taught me, and I graduated the top of my class and started working right away in a salon after I graduated high school. So I was 18 when I was already working in a salon, and had to do my apprenticeship. And I also got like a journeyman license. And yeah, my very first salon was called Red Snippers. That was where it all started. But yeah, that's a little bit of backstory. So I would have to say Miss Shirley Jolly was definitely my inspiration and kind of how it all started for me.
Nice. Everybody has, there's somebody or something that kind of was a trigger that, turned it into a reality and maybe recognized a spark or a potential that we had. So I love to hear those sort of starter stories. So you mentioned the number of years. I wasn't going to go there, for you. I mean, you look like you could be, late 20s, early 30s. So let's stick with that. But I guess you were working in the industry before social media was even a thing, right? So you kind of have experienced the industry and growth before all of that. What was the first social media platform that you actually did use for business purposes?
I would have to say Instagram probably was. Like, I was posting a few hair pictures on Facebook, but I wasn't really using that as for business purposes. But honestly, yeah, Instagram, my daughter had said to me, Mom, you need to, because I already had a personal page on Instagram. And she's like, Mom, you need to separate your business and your personal your personal page and start up a business page. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And nobody else was doing that in the area. And so she came up with Hair by Shawna Russell, and we started the business page. And that was probably about 7 years ago. I think is when I started that. It seems like 20 years ago, honestly, because it feels like we've been in this industry with the digital age for so long. But yeah,
Hard to imagine,
years ago
life without it, right? But I'm curious again, because you had been in the industry for a long time, and obviously had grown a clientele, and I'm sure we're a fairly a busy, successful stylist. So what made you decide to actually start getting active with social media for your work in the first place?
I think it was just my personality. I'm the type of person, like I was successful already behind my chair. And, to me, it was like, okay, where can I go from this? What's the next step? And then I saw a lot of other industry leaders that didn't live locally, like, all over North America. And I was like, how am I going to connect with these people? And then using a brand that I love, I'm like, how am I going to connect with this brand? So I think that was kind of why I started this journey into the digital age and being on social media. And just like, that was just the next eventual step, because I never like to just stay here. I always kind of want to move up.
Have that kind of that internal drive and motivation. Did you find it difficult at first, just from a user standpoint with a brand new platform, like Instagram? Did you have that challenge, because it's not something that you grew up with, that sort of technology, and that's something that holds a lot of people back, right, in our industry? So how did you deal with that?
I mean, that is one thing I have to be pretty proud of myself for, being the age that I'm at. And it just goes to show that it's not just for the 20-year-olds. You can be older and get into social media and these platforms and whatnot. But it also helps having a daughter who, as of an age that she could help me if I had any problems, understanding things. And honestly, with Google, I would just research a lot, like, how do I do this? Whenever Instagram came up with something new, then I'd be like, oh, I would just research that, and how do I use that? So I did a lot of my own research. YouTube is great too for watching videos on how to use social media or anything like that. So you definitely have to do research.
Say it is possible to teach an old dog new tricks?
It totally is.
All right. I want to make sure that people out there, don't feel scared, who, today, maybe they have gotten into Instagram, but now they're thinking about TikTok. They're like, oh my gosh, like I can't get into TikTok, or even, everything to do with reels. And it just might seem, complicated. A lot of people still don't like doing videos. So it's about pushing past the comfort zone a little bit and recognizing that, hey, it is possible. It might seem uncomfortable, but if you want to, grow, you want to expand, you want to, have new possibilities, new opportunities. Once you push past that initial barrier, there's so much out there, and of course it's possible. There's millions of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s who have been, able to adapt to social media and get involved. So why can't you do it as well, right?
I have to say though, it was way easier when I first started, like from what it is now, to get noticed on Instagram, because now everybody's doing it, right? Because there isn't like a lot of people doing that. There wasn't a lot of people doing, getting into influencer programs and whatnot. It was a small niche, but now it's so huge, you know, so it's definitely harder to get noticed. You really have to work at it.
To grow a following, now, but the actual, usage of getting comfortable, using the technologies and the platforms, anybody can start doing that.
Yes.
And now it's about, staying on top of, what's trending, right? So when Reels first came out, the people that got on top of that really early and were doing it had an advantage, right? Same thing with TikTok. The first people that got on with TikTok and had accounts had an advantage of growing. So you just want to kind of stay up to date with what's new and trending. We certainly recommend everyone, keep following us at Salon S.O.S, on social media. That's what we do, is we provide, insights into what's new, what's trending, what's happening, so that you can stay up to date from your standpoint. So let's talk about this social media influencer journey a little bit. You mentioned that you sort of started your Instagram journey, about sort of 7 years ago or so. Social media influencers weren't really a thing at that point, especially not in the salon industry, right? So at what point did you actually think about turning your social media that you were doing, with Instagram into kind of like a revenue source, or actually being a paid influencer?
It's interesting. Like it didn't happen just randomly. Like I actually had the conscious thought, I love working with Schwartz Professional. And how am I going to get noticed by this brand? I want to work closer with them. So I had to go on social media, I had to go on Instagram, and I constantly was on their pages and commenting. I made sure that they saw my name over and over and over. I used their products, I talked about their products. And yeah, it was definitely a conscious effort on my part to get noticed by the brand that I loved working with already. And I'd say that took about a year for me of doing that. And then, where we developed a relationship, and then the next step was them sending me free product under a influencer program that they had.
Not a bad way to start, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then from there, it's just like I said, I just want to keep moving up and up and up. So from there, I did that for probably about a year. And then I remember having a conversation. I was getting a pedicure, and I was actually I had a scheduled call with Schwartz Professional. And I was like, I love that I'm in this program with you getting free product, but I really want to take it to the next level. What can I do? And they really want to know from you, like, well, where do you see like your future with us? What is it that you want from us? So you have to be very specific. I want to actually, get paid for my posting, things like that. You have to let them know that. So that's where it led eventually, is then I think I became a BTC member first, and then they facilitated my contract with Schwarzkopf, actually USA. And yeah, and then that's when it kind of started. I started traveling. You start getting paid for your postings. They bring you on campaigns. So that's like when the real exciting things start. And you're getting paid for it.
and you're getting paid for it. And
Yeah.
that's a pretty, a key component, because you're already doing stuff that you would probably do anyways, right? If you get to the point where you're really active on social media, you are communicating regularly with your followers as it is. And now that you have the bonus that you're actually getting, paid behind it, and you have these opportunities, like you said, to travel and whatnot, it can be very exciting for people. What can you sort of maybe pinpoint one or two things that were key moments along the way, which you really feel unlocked the opportunities that came your way?
I feel like
Pinpoint stuff for listeners out there to really understand, what could be triggers.
I feel like, one of the key things is building up my following and my own brand on social media, so that somebody would actually want me, and they're going to want someone who is very present on social media to show their products, talk about their products and whatnot. And then I think becoming a BTC member, that really kind of shot me forward. And yeah, I would say just growing my presence and then becoming a BTC member were two like key moments.
Okay, great. What was involved in becoming a BTC member for you?
That was another thing, like making yourself known to them, to their page, reaching out. Like you have to create relationships with these brands, with these associations, in order for them to trust that they're gonna bring you on and start paying you as an influencer. So it's really building that relationship and trust, I think, first with anybody that is going to hire you.
Love this. What I'm really hearing a lot of is that it's important to create your own destiny, right?
Right.
You have to be intentional with what you do. You can't just sit back and think, okay, someone's going to notice me. I'm just going to keep doing my thing and hope that somebody, notices. I've got a lot of great things going on. I've got a lot of content. I've got a lot of followers. Like, how come nobody is noticing me? You took the steps to really be proactive, about interacting and engaging with the key, sort of decision makers to make sure that you got noticed, make sure that you were on the radar, put yourself in front. So to me, that's all about, really being intentional and creating your own destiny. Would you agree with that?
Yes, unless you're a Kardashian and then it falls into your lap. But if you're not, yes, be intentional and create these relationships and trust.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about, what your responsibilities are today now that you're, under contract as an actual social media influencer. Like, what does that mean? What do you have to do? Share that with our audience.
Okay, so I'm under contract right now with Schwarzkopf Professional Canada. And what that means is I have to do a minimum amount of postings on my my profile a month. And I probably do about 12 to 15 posts in a month. And then I get paid for about, I would say 50% of those posts. And then there's traveling involved. So if you work behind your chair like I do, you have to let your clients know, this is another job that I have on the side. And there are times that I have to like move my schedule around to travel, to do campaigns for these brands, maybe shows, things like that. So those you get paid extra as well, outside of your main contract.
What are some of the things that you do? You mentioned campaigns. What would that look like? And sort of what's your involvement there?
Well, when Schwarzkopf Professional comes out with a new product, then they will send those products to us and I will use them, test them, see how I like them. And then they'll come out with a big campaign. So by the time it comes out to the general public, we've already been behind the scenes using it. And, I'll fly to Toronto or wherever it is. And we actually do video shoots on models, things like that. And, they create these campaigns to come out for when they're launching their product to the general public. So it's really exciting to be a part of that,
Yeah, absolutely. You get to be sort of behind the scenes. You get to see things before they actually get released. So you're part of the almost like the pre, not necessarily testing group because they've already decided that they're going to launch it, but you get to influence how it's going to be presented to the industry, which definitely would be exciting. And I would assume that those campaigns and shoots that they do is for content that's going to be released by Schwarzkopf Professional on their brand pages. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. The hardest part is being quiet about the product. If you're really excited about something they're coming out, you are not allowed to talk about it, obviously, until the launch date.
Yeah, and you probably would want to throw into your stories all this sort of behind the scenes things you're doing and traveling, and so you have to sort of either traveling to here for some behind the scenes work without necessarily revealing what it's all about, right?
Right.
Very cool. So you mentioned that you do about 12 to 15 posts total per month, right? And you're half of them are, let's say, sponsored posts. Is that correct?
Yes.
How much direction are you given from the brand for those sponsored posts, and how much flexibility do you have in the actual content creation?
I mean, I can't speak for other brands, but with the brand that I'm working with, they give us soft direction. You know, they tell you the key points that they want you to bring out, but they really, like, they've picked me because they love my style. They like the way I educate and how I go forth with it. So I would say it's a soft direction. It's not, you know, like I'm not a hired educator for them. When you're an influencer, you're very different than the people that work for, say, Henkel, the parent company, you know, and they are more ruled. Influencers were not under those rules as much. They know that we break the rules and things like that when it comes to using product. And they know that, and I can talk about that on my Instagram or show it on a post or a reel. Here's some other uses for it, you know, that you might not have thought about. Be more innovative that way. So they pretty much let me do that. And I'm not under contract that I can't work with any other brands, which I think is a major key thing. Whenever you're going to facilitate a contract with a brand, make sure you're really comfortable with what they're asking you and what that contract says, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, may not be that experienced to know what they should or should not accept, you know, as part of an agreement. You made me think about something that, just for whether it's brands or distributors or even salons. I know a lot of salons that work with a local influencer who's not a hairstylist, but it's just a local influencer that can connect with the target audience and make the salon stand out. So I think it's equally important to be recognizing that once you identify an influencer who you feel comfortable working with, you don't want to control them and change them to be abiding by your, you know, your branding. The reason why they are influential with their audience is because they have that authenticity, and you have to allow them to continue to kind of have that relationship with their followers, right? Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I agree. I have seen influencers leave other brands because of, you know, too much control. And I would never work with a brand like that. So
yeah, so anyway, I think it's an important thing to understand on both sides, right? Because often, you know, as the company, whether it's a salon company or a you know, a manufacturer, you know, you're very careful about your branding and the message, you know, about your company. And, you know, sometimes you can be a little bit too controlling around that. So it's a fine line you have to be careful with. Have you ever felt that you were asked to do something, you know, on your social media platforms that you didn't feel good about because it wasn't authentically you?
I would have to say I've been asked by numerous brands, companies to, you know, they want to send me their product. Other color lines want to send me their product. And I am very faithful to the brand that I am working with. I could work with other brands, but I honestly don't have the time to, you know, doing for this brand, that brand. I am affiliates for some other ones, but I would say, yeah, you have to learn where to say no, and like, or who to say no to and who to say yes to. Because if you don't want your page to become just about selling, right? And making money and all of that, because then you'll lose the original followers you had, why they're following you. So, but I mean, as far as Schwarzkopf Professional, I've never been asked to do anything that I wasn't comfortable with.
You have to, as an influencer, you have to be careful, like you said, to not become too promotional, right, with your messaging, because then you're going to lose the trust of your actual followers, because they'll see that you're no longer, you know, authentic, and your message isn't real, and you're just I won't use a product word out there that that no one wants to become. So that's something I think you really have to be cautious about as well, as you're building yourself as an influencer.
Yeah, I really post what I love using.
And that's sincere, that's authentic, and that's what's going to resonate. So let's talk a little bit more about your social media content. Who is the target audience that you are posting for and that you've been sort of building up as you're following all these years?
So my target audience is fellow stylist for sure with my education, but I also want to educate the clients that we have in our chair, because I want them to understand the things that we can do, the things we can't do, the products that, that I have trust in, that they can trust me to be able to do their hair with these said products. So mainly my audience is women for sure. And I would say ages 30 to 50 is my target audience for sure.
Sure. And see, I find this always to be a tricky question, number one, and a tricky thing to execute, because you, as a stylist behind the chair, as you were initially building your Instagram account, I would assume that it was for, consumers, right? Potential clients. But if you want to be an influencer for a brand like Schwarzkopf, they want you to be speaking to other stylists, right? Other hair professionals. So how do you go about balancing, right, the audience that you're sort of building and the content that you have, which is, somewhat talking about, specific products and maybe formulas around, products that are really for stylist use only, versus still having clients that you work with behind the chair and just, regular consumers out there? How do you balance that?
I intentionally, because I have my minimum that I have to post for Schwarzkopf Professional. So I just make sure that I have those minimums posted using the products and knowing that the target for that is fellow stylists, that they want them to use their products as well. And then in between that, excuse me, in between that, I post more what's on trend. So if there's certain sounds that are trending or certain types of reels that are trending, I kind of splash that here and there in between my paid posts. So I find that it's a good balance, but because I've been on social media for so long now, I definitely don't have to post as often as I did when I first started. Like my presence, and it was harder finding that balance because you were building, right? Now that I kind of have, not saying I'm settled where I'm at, because I'm always want to go further, but I don't have to post as much, or my presence doesn't have to be so much on there at this point, but you definitely have to when you're first starting.
Makes sense. Do you have a posting schedule that you've kind of established for yourself in terms of, how often, during the week you post, and which days you're posting as the sponsored post versus your regular posts, and how you sort of mix that in? Do you actually have a schedule that you've created for yourself to manage that?
Well, my personality, and I'm a Cancer, we're not that type of people to be scheduled like that. But I do all my posting at try to get it in before 8-9 a.m. in the morning. I post probably every 3 days, something on there, but usually in the morning, and it takes me about an hour and a half, even just to make one reel up for education. I'm not very intentional or organized that way, where I would say I use any certain apps to have a posting schedule or anything like that. I'm very organic that way. But my daughter has told me before, Mom, you need to use this app. It'll help you schedule everything. But yeah, no, I don't. I just prefer to be organic with that. But I already know, because I've been doing it for so long, like, okay, Shawna, you need to post. You need to do this today, this morning. So you have to get up earlier because it's usually on a day that I work as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if it comes naturally, to you, that's great. I think you have to understand and recognize your own tendencies and habits and sort of what you need. Some people need the direction, they need a schedule to be able to follow. Otherwise, they just don't get it done. You need to have a lot of discipline, certainly to do what you do. Wake up early and just work for an hour to get it done. It'd be very easy for people to kind of let that one go, and then let another one go, and sooner or later you don't have that consistency anymore.
I mean, one of the biggest things, it's not just about posting on your page. If you utilize your stories, like it's so easy to go on your stories, a quick little, like 20-second video, like even like lifestyle. People don't want to just see hair from me. They want to see the lifestyle. They want to see what I'm doing on my days off, things like that, behind the scenes, my family. So it's so easy to utilize stories too.
Love that. Let's dig a little bit deeper on that one. Do you have any advice for salon professionals out there that want to grow their social media following? Not necessarily they want to become an influencer, but they just they want to grow their following. They want to grow their overall engagement and reach for, let's say, potential clients in their market.
Yes, I would say like know your direction first. Who are you? What is your target audience? Are you wanting a brand? Are you wanting a following? Are you wanting clientele behind your chair? So you really have to know who your target audience is first. And then when you're going for that, you really have to make your presence on social media known. Like you have to be on there a lot and showing what you're doing. And then I would say just building those relationships again, reaching out to the brands, reaching out to other hairstylists that you admire or leaders in the industry. I think a lot of people are scared because it's almost like they're celebrities now, right? But you can just reach out to them. If they don't answer, they don't answer. It's not going to hurt anyone. But I feel like the more you do that, and it's always like if you are associating with like-minded people, then I think that's going to help you. If you're with people who hate social media and don't want to post and don't want to be on it and look down on influencing or anything, then that's probably going to be your mindset. But if this is something that you want, then be with like-minded people, talk to like-minded people, get excited about doing it. But like we said in the before, it's very intentional, and your presence on Instagram has to be known, and you got to know your target audience for sure.
Great,
or TikTok.
Great tips. Yeah, absolutely. Great tips. Thank you for sharing. What's next for you in the digital space? Social media, your influencer status. How do you see that evolving?
I really want to try and figure out TikTok, honestly. Like I feel like a lot of the younger ones are on there, and I watch the reels and I'm just like, why is this getting so, like, 2 million views or whatnot? But I want to kind of master that. I have a profile on there, but I definitely don't put the effort into that. So I think that's my next step with digital. YouTube, I have thought about that more for education purposes. But the other day, my 18-year-old apprentice said, yeah, no, we don't really go on YouTube to look for like clients aren't going to be on there looking for a hairstylist, things like that. So she's like, yeah, YouTube, no. But yeah, I think TikTok is pretty huge at this point right now.
Well, that is for sure. But to your point, it's about finding out the best way to be capitalizing on that particular platform, because they're all different, right? Even though you have Instagram Reels and TikTok, which are very similar, there are still differences, and people are on the platforms consuming the content for different purposes, right? So you've really got to be able to connect to that. What about outside of digital? Anything interesting, on the horizon for you professionally?
Well, I literally just got off a call just before you and I started this podcast, and I am going to Germany. So that's really exciting. And that's Schwarzkopf Professional. Our headquarters is in Germany, and I've never been. And that was my next kind of thing that I'm like, I really want to go to Germany. I want to go to headquarters. I want to work with Schwarzkopf Professional there. And so, yeah, I just got the news that I've been accepted to go, and that will be in June. So it's a quick trip. It's like 5 days. It's a video shoot. So I have to get on a call at a certain point with everybody and figure out what this will be all about and what's involved. But yeah, so that's exciting. I just got the news that I'm going to be doing that.
Congratulations.
And then opening up my own salon is like one of the biggest things. After 35 years, I figured it was just time. Why not?
You needed another project, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, that's exciting. And then my daughter has switched gears in her professional world, and she's actually training to do hair under me now. So her and I, she did marketing actually and digital design in school for 4 years at BCIT. And so she's going to be with me, and we are going to create like a crazy luxury experience for clients in our new salon. So I can't be more excited for that.
Gosh, yeah, it sounds like a power duo.
Yeah, exactly. And I also see once you have your own salon, I feel like more brands come and want to work with you. They really like to stand behind salon owners for sure. So I'm excited to see what that's going to bring about.
Absolutely. Well, great insight, and good luck with that. Good luck with that project. We'll certainly want to connect with you and see how that evolves. And it must be, you must have a lot of pride that your daughter is sort of switching up and going to be coming and working with you. That I'm sure will be really, really fun and inspiring at the same time.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Scott.
If people want to connect with you or follow you, where can they find you on social media?
Hair by Shawna _Russell on my Instagram page. They can find me there. I love DMs, or they can email me. Yeah. And then once the salon website is up and running, they'll be able to email directly from there.
And they'll find that through your Instagram, I would assume, once that's ready.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We started an Instagram salon page already at Bleached Salon.
At Bleached Salon.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll make sure to have those in the show notes as well, so people can see that. We're going to close up our conversation today with you, Shawna, with one more signature question, as we always do to wrap up our show. What advice would you give to someone just starting their career in our industry today?
I say hustle. You have to hustle. You have to really work hard. Try to be diverse as you can. If you try to just specialize in one or two things, then you are not going to be able to grow your following or your clientele very fast. You have to kind of do everything to get that following, to get that growth. And then after you get that growth, then I would say specialize in whatever you love doing. But I feel like a lot of young generation like to kind of like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But I'd say be diverse and really like just try everything and then see what you're really good at. And then once you hone in on that, be really good at that one or two things, but grow first and then go for that. I think that would be my biggest advice, and you have to hustle.
Love to hustle. Great message and a great way to wrap up today's conversation. Thank you so much for being here with us, Shawna, and giving us the scoop on your amazing experiences and learnings in and around influencer, marketing. As a listener, if you enjoyed this episode, please, rate, review, share this with at least one other industry professional that you feel can benefit from it. Really helps us to be able to bring you more great content on a regular basis. Thanks everyone for listening. And I guess it's time to go get your hustle on.
Yes. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for having me.